Hey guys, this is Design 13 and today I'm going to show you how to build a counterweight snare trap. First thing you're going to need is a knife. A survival knife, any type of knife about this size. I got a buck knife. That'll do. Okay. Next you're going to need a weight. This is about 7.5 pounds. This is to actually simulate a rock, because if you're in the wild surviving, trying to catch food, you'd obviously use a rock, but I'm not in the wild, I'm in my front yard and I don't really got any big rocks anywhere, so that one will do. You're going to need some rope. Doesn't have to be that thick. It could also be wire, anything you got, as long as it'll hold it up. You're going to need 2 sticks, about this size. Pretty thick. Not like twigs, but a little bigger. You're going to need one bigger than the other. These are not going to be the size they're going to be when you're done. You're going to have to break it off, but it's best to have a bigger stick than you need to carve notches. Easier to hold. And you're going to need 2 twigs with about V shapes. It doesn't have to be a perfect V. Just hold up the noose when you're done. Okay, the first step you need to do to build the counterweight snare trap is to take your knife, the thickest stick you have, preferably the longest, but it doesn't have to be, and you need to start carving and spike. You don't have to have one. You could just jam it in the ground without one, but sure is a whole lot easier to put it in the ground if you have a little point on it. Okay. After you've carved your spike, it should look somewhat like this. The next step is on the opposite end of the point. You're going to need to carve a notch, and the notch is going to have to be going upward and have a flat end right here, which later you will have to indent in order for it to lock in correctly. And how you're going to do this, you're just going to start, the camera can see, just going to start doing this over and over. And the next, so I don't knock over the camera, you can do it. Just cut off all the extra stuff hanging on. You can just, if it's not deep enough, you can actually just do it some more. Right now, as you see, the notch is actually slanted this way, which is not good. I'm gonna have to indent it a little bit more this way. How you do that is you just start carving this way. Because if you have an indented notch, you'll catch a lot better than one that was slit. See, the one I just had wouldn't catch it all, because you're gonna be holding something heavy. And that's how it should look when you get done. Now that you have your first stick ready, you need to lay that aside for now and pick up the stick. This is actually bigger. It's going to be in the end result. But I'm going to break it off because it's a lot easier to hold it like this. So right now you're trying to make a notch, almost like a key, that will fit into the other notch. So it's actually going to have to stick out. So how do you do that? You're just going to carve this. Like so. And you gotta remember, this is gonna mimic lightning bug. Just gotta mimic the other one, but the opposite way. It's not enough, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you what I'm gonna do. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna carve one right here where it sticks out. So this is gonna be about right here, and then it's just gonna go. probably carve. Show you what I'm talking about. Lightning bug won't get on my face. Down until you get there. Or you can take something. Now, if you're in the woods and you have an axe, or you find something to hammer this knife in, like another piece of wood, you could always just stick it right here and clap, clap, you know. Knife it down until you get the flat edge, but right now I'm gonna do it this way because I don't have anything that I can use to hammer it in. Now you see, I've got my little notch right here. Now that I got the notch, I'm gonna try to carve where this only sticks out and this right here is flat. Okay, got a big ant on my arm. Sorry for that fight. Went down hard. Now it's on my leg. Holy cow. He's gone. You can see about where you're going to break it off. I'm going to break mine off about right here somewhere. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Okay, well that was a little farther than I would have liked it, but it doesn't really matter that way. Well, what I'm about to do now, let's see. Sort of got my notch started, so I'm going to see how close I am to get. Not quite close enough. Need to stick out a little bit more. I need to carve this a little bit more, if you see what I'm saying. Okay, I'm going to try to fit it again. Fits in like it was a key. Well, maybe not that perfect, but okay, now we're to the spot where I'm going to hammer in my stake. Now I know most people don't really carry hammers into the wild, but some knives you can hit with the butt of it, or if you have an axe like I'm getting, it usually has a hammer on the back of the axe, of course. Okay. Last time I went to try to do commando style, pushing it in, it broke, so no more commando. Since this video is so lengthy, you get the gist. I'll be back when it's fully hammered in. Okay, now that this is hammered in, second thing you want to do is you want to take the rope and your other stick, and you want to tie it here. So it's always better to have extra rope than not enough, because then you gotta toss that whole piece and waste more than you would if you have a little extra. So I'm getting quite a bit. Rope. Oh yeah. Take the thing. Then you see about where you tie the rope. And then it's best carve a notch for the rope to go. I don't guess you necessarily have to, but it saves a lot of time in the future of having to recut rope or retie rope because it slipped away and loosened up a little bit. You know, cutting it on one side, cutting it on the other. You don't necessarily have to do it on this side though. So here we go. Now that you've got your trench, you wrap it around, of course, and I don't guess it really matters how you do it, but it's best to leave a little slack for tying a knot. It doesn't have to be a fancy knot or anything, you know. Honestly, all I do is one of them knots that just makes sense. You start putting the string through the bunch of random loops. Okay. There we go. Now you have your string tied to the stick. After you tie the first end, take the second end and tie it to the weight or rock. If you have a big rock, I'd honestly practice doing it on a rock so you're used to it. Once again, doesn't have to be a fancy knot, just a normal make a loop, put it through the loop. Here it is. Okay, now that I'm back, I have this, and I'm actually gonna have a prop man hold up the wait, here, hold on. I'll hook it up.
There you go.
Or that pulley system. Okay, a little higher. Okay, now ease it down. Bingo. See that? Nothing but notch. Now that I know that works, I'm gonna have to tie a noose to this end and get the strap set up. After you take your second string, you're gonna tie a loop knot. And after that, just gonna make the noose by going like this. And when it gets pulled, tightens. Now we gotta hook it up to the second stick. Now that you have your second rope with the loop knot, you're gonna take the other end and hold that up for a second and tie it below the notch, which would be ideal. Before I tied it to the weight, I made another line. So I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, now that I've got this, gotta take this end and basically I'm gonna do the same thing did with the first one. It's gonna be a little hard because I accidentally splintered it, but it doesn't matter. Okay, the final step to the trap is first, you gotta set it, if you haven't already. Okay, the final step is already set up. What I'm trying to catch is a dog. Here's my prey. Okay, what's gonna happen is obviously it'd be smaller, because right now the noose isn't small and big enough, but he'd go through, realistically, he'd hop through, and when he's trying to get that, after he get done, he'd catch his hind legs, and then he'd get suspended in the air, waiting for you to get him.